Hello everyone, how are you feeling today? It's Survey1 here, and today I'm coming at you with my 60 cards Lightsworn deck profile. Now, I'm not sure if I'm playing this deck 100% because 60 cards decks are not my expertise. I mostly prefer to play 40 because I like to minimize things to, to make it the consistent ball, consistency ball as much as possible. So, 60 card decks are kind of a doozy for me and really weird, but this is one of those decks that I don't think you can run less than 60 because there's so many options. I tried to run 40 and it just doesn't work. You have so many options, so many combos, so many things that you can do with 60 better, and you want to mill card and see them in your graveyard. 60 card Lightsworn is one of the most ideal things. Now, if you run those decks separately, 40 in my opinion, it will be the best number, but like I said, because you combine them both together, I think 60 is the best number for this one. But yeah, like I said, I'm not really expertise, and I'm pretty sure I'm not covering even all of the cards in this deck because there's so many of them. But without further ado, let's get started, and I would say to you guys that if my voice cracking a little bit for the video, it's just because I'm not really feeling the best, but still feeling good enough to, do a deck profile, and it's kind of cheering me up and, making me feel better, even though I'm a little bit of maybe feeling bad. But yeah, let's get started. So starting things off, we're on 3 copies of Raiden. Raiden, I don't think I need to explain why this card is really good. It's a mill during your turn, which is really nice, and also during the end phase. I mean, you don't really leave him to the end phase, but, it's just one of those cards that, you don't mind normal summoning because it just can get you to whatever you want, and it's such a good card. Still in 2019, yes, it's 2019, I almost said 18 again, but it's the new year. So, yeah, it's still a really good card, and I love this card, and you want to run it at 3, in my opinion. Next up, 3 copies of Wolf. Yes, the middle one is a different print from the 2 ones in the left and the right, but, I just got different prints. Sometimes that happens. 3 Wolf because, well, I did want to run 1 Felice, but then I realized, Felice only good when you have user with monster effect and in a pure Lightsworn deck, so I thought to myself, I just want to run Wolf because Wolf, no matter what you do, you're just getting a monster to your board. You can use a lot of things to just see him in your graveyard and have a level 4 monster, which is 2100 bit stick, by the way, which is really big for a level 4, that can do so many things for you, and it's a really good card in my opinion. And it's a really good thing that it's also a Beast Warrior, so, just run 3 of this in my opinion is a very needed thing. Next up, 2 copies of Lumina. I don't think you need a 3rd one, because the 3rd one is just... it's not going to be that good because, it's not going to get you anywhere. So 2 copies of Lumina, in my opinion, is more than enough. But you want to see her because she does help you see some cards out of your graveyard, which is really nice. Also, 1 copy of Twilight Lumina because I do have some cards here that banish. One particular card that banish, and if I see it, I just sometimes want to have also the Twilight Lumina to return the Luminas or the other cards that I want back. So having Twilight Lumina, in my opinion, is just an additional helper. So, you can just pretty much use her to support your things. But, if you don't like Twilight Lumina, you can just cut her down and put something else, and put, for example, something like a 3rd Lumina if you want to. It's totally up to your sake and whatever you like to choose. And then the last one, I run 1 copy of Minerva Lightsworn Maiden because you mill her, you mill an additional card. Simple as that, and it's also a level 3 tuner, which is really nice and sometimes come handy. And that pretty much does it for the Lightsworns themselves. I think 10 names is more than enough in a modern Zombie-sworn deck, which is 60 cards. I think 10 monsters is more than enough. Now let's move to the zombies themselves. First off, from the new structure deck, so to speak, I run 1 copy of Doom King. I don't think you need more than 1. It's just so simple to see this card in your graveyard, so simple to do so many things with him. You don't really need to run more than 1 copy, because the moment that your opponent or you have a field spell, it's coming back. and you can just see him in your deck in your hand, or you can see it in your graveyard and revive it. And having multiple copies, in my opinion, is just a brick. But if you're playing pure Zombie World, yeah, you might want to run multiple copies, but there's so many easier ways to get this card into your field. It just feels unnecessary to run it, especially when you have the level 1, which we'll get to it, which is Glow Up Bloom, which we'll get to it when we'll get to it. Next up, 2 copies of Necroworld Banshee. Necroworld Banshee is a lot better in this deck, again, because you can mill her and then activate her effect and just get another card out of your deck, which is really good, and just get your combos going. I don't think, again, you need more than 2 because she can clog in your hand, but she is a very, very good card to have a discard with Lumina and other monsters and then just continue your plays and making all of your monsters zombies. So I think she's a really, really good card, especially in this deck, but you don't want to run so many copies of her. I think 2 is a sufficient number, and that's pretty much it. 1 Glow Up Bloom with Summon Sorceress. I don't like to run more than 1 copy of this, even though it's amazing. Because again, it's one of those cards that's stuck in your hand and you want to use his ability, but if you don't use it in the right time, you're kind of blocking yourself from the rest of your extra deck for the rest of the turn. So I thought to myself, like, I want to use this card with Summon Sorceress and or if I need to. So 1 copy of Glow Up Bloom, in my opinion, is more than enough, and you can just be okay with 1. Then also 1 copy of Vampire Fuel Line, which is another target to search with Glow Up Bloom, which you can add to your hand and or special summon depending on what you want. So you can have an additional copy if one of them is already in the graveyard. So that's pretty much does it for the so-called Zombie World kind of related. I mean, Fuel Line not really related to Zombie World, but whatever. And then we'll also run 3 copies of Solitaire, 3 copies of Unizombie, 3 copies of Mizuki, and 2 copies of Gozuki. Standard lineup for Zombie Engine. I think there's no need to explanation there. Gozuki, especially, like I said again, when you see Zombie World, Gozuki is very, very good. Because Zombie World really helped this deck, but, you know, it just sometimes you don't, so you don't want to run 3 of things that could brick in your hand. Like Solitaire and Unizombie are one of those cards that, like, you don't mind because you want to see them, but there are some cards that, like, you don't want to see multiple, so that's why I minimize myself on them. And that pretty much does it for that, and now we're going to 3 copies of Orphis Scorpio, 1 copy of Darlingtonia Cobra, and 3 copies of Lawnfire Blossom. For anybody who asks, yes, I do run Brilliant Fusion because Brilliant Fusion really helped this deck. And again, it's a 60-card deck for a reason. In my opinion, Brilliant Fusion is something that is a must-have with Lightsworns. And this just really helped that line. It's just really good. You want to run and you want to see them as much as possible. Now, if you don't want to see Lawnfire Blossom in your deck and or have a second Darlingtonia Cobra, is completely understandable, but, you know, everybody in his choice, so you can do whatever you want. And then 1 copy of Garnet, 1 copy of Trick Clown, 1 copy of Damage Juggler, and 1 copy of Hat Tricker. Garnet is completely understandable, but if you mill him, the entire engine is useless, so, I don't know, it's one of those things that, like, I'm saying, like, it's amazing, but on the other hand, it's really bad. Like, all of those cards can be really useless if you don't have anything else. So I might consider in the future to add like an instant fusion or something like that in order to make this a little bit more useful. But hey, worst case scenario, you're getting 2 monsters onto the field and then discarding fodder for later down the line with the Lumina effect. So it's not the end of the world, but like you don't want to see your Garnet milled or in your hand. So let's just say that. And then, and also the number of times that I see my Garnet with my Brilliant Fusion and stuff like that is very minimum because, you know, I run 60-card decks. Deck, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 targets overall for Brilliant Fusion, so I most of the time see it in my opening hand. But like I said, Brilliant Fusion is one of those engines that's really rewarding, but also kind of problematic on the other hand. And as for the clowns, they're always good. I don't really think there's any explanation. Trick Clown, you just dish it into a graveyard, get a monster, Damage Juggler, negate damage from whatever deck, and give you a search. It's just so good to run the clowns, why not run them? So, you know, I just felt to myself like, I want to run the clowns. And they're really useful, even if you don't see Brilliant Fusion. And then I also run 2 additional monsters, which is 1 Photon Crusher, because sometimes you need an additional extender to special summon for your side of the field, and 1 copy of Fairy Tale Snow, because I just don't want to maximize on Fairy Tale Snow, A, because I don't have the space, and B, I'm not sure if multiple Fairy Tale Snow is that good, and you can just mill her to the graveyard. It's not the end of the world, so in my opinion, it's just normal thing, and you want to run those. And like I said, Photon Crusher is just an additional extender, and you don't need more than 1. And that pretty much does it for the monsters. Huge chunk of monsters. This is how this deck works. And oh wow, I put the monsters upside down in one section. Section. It's pretty simple, it's pretty normal thing. Like, if you run a 60-card deck like this, you want to have chunk of monsters. And I think, like, this is, by itself, it's almost a full 40-card deck. So, yeah, zombies and a lot of monsters. That's usually what it goes with zombies, Lightsworns, and all that stuff. And that pretty much does it for the monsters. Now we'll move on to the spells. Heads up, no traps, unfortunately, because I didn't have the space. But like I said, if you have, guys, any suggestion to make this better, I will happily see them in the section down below. In the comments down below. My apologies. Wow, I'm really not feeling that well today. But, yeah. Anyway, 3 copies of Zombie World. Zombie World, again, this is what this deck is built all about. So I don't think I need to explain why 3 Zombie World and 2 Terraforming. Just to see it in your hand as soon as possible. I mean, it's very good of a card, and it's helped turn all of your monsters into zombies to start getting pluses, so why not? And that pretty much does it for that. And then also for the Lightsworn spells, I run 3 copies of Solar Recharge, which might seem a little bit too much, but that's not a problem when you run 3 copies of Charge of the Light Brigade, because Charge of the Light Brigade giving you an additional 3 names for all of your Lightsworn. So it's technically like running 13 copies of them, which is really good. And in my opinion, because you have technically 13 copies, it's a little bit more easier to use this card. But like, it's almost never dead in my opinion, but like, worst case scenario, you can just discard it with a Unizombie or a Lumina or whatever you want. So in my opinion, those 6 cards are really useful. And then we also run, like I said, 3 copies of Brilliant Fusion, because it's Brilliant Fusion. 1 copy for Reinforcement of the Army, because, you know, it's just giving you your Raiden or your Photon Crusher. Foolish Burial, Card Destruction, Reasoning, Barrel from Different Dimension, Monster Reborn, and Soul Charge, in my opinion, are really good cards. I mean, not Barrel from Different Dimension. Foolish Burial is obvious. Card Destruction, I think, is also obvious because you're getting more cards to your grave. Reasoning, saying ideal. Even if your opponent's saying the level of monster, which is mostly they're going to guess because most of your monsters are level 4, you still get monsters into your graveyard, so you don't really care. Barrel from Different Dimension because sometimes you banish way too much. Monster Reborn and Soul Charge for revival purposes. And that's pretty much does it for the spells and does it for the main deck. And now we're going to move to the extra deck, which is... I'm not sure if it's 100% correctly complete because... how should I say this? Again, it's a 60 card deck with so many options that I'm not 100% sure I'm choosing the right ones. As well as, like, I'm not sure if I like the idea still for this deck to have an extra link, because I think this deck can perform an extra link, but I specifically don't really like extra links. So, yeah, it's one of those weird things. If you guys want to go extra link, you're more than welcome to. I just specifically don't like those kind of things. But, you know, your choice. So, starting things off, 1 Gem Knight Seraphinite, I don't think I need to explain. 1 Michael, because I do like to run 1 Michael when I'm playing Lightsworns. Again, it's also a good card, so why not run it? 1 copy of Red Eye Zombie Necro Dragon, just because I can destroy my opponent's monsters and get them to my side of the field. And or just in general, I want to have like kind of a synchro backup if I need to go into zombie stuff and I'm stuck, but I do want to end up a good field enough. 1 Omega, because it makes sense. 1 Bojing Tsukiyomi, because you can ditch your entire hand or 1 card and get 2, which is really easy in this deck, and you have enough light names. 1 Minerva, because it's so easy to bring out in this deck, and milling is just the name of the game. 1 Underclock Taker, Sorry. Underclock Taker, because Underclock Taker is a good link too, and it's just really easy to summon in this deck. I really wished I could summon Link Aribo, but I just don't have enough level 1, so Underclock Taker taking its place. Vampire Sucker, 1 copy, because again, I don't really have space in the extra deck, but 1 copy is all you need. Akashic Magician, another good link too, because sometimes you need that kind of bounce, so why not? And the Link Arrows, of course. Cerberus, Phoenix, and Ningirsu, which is supposed to be Unicorn, but again, I'm going to send it a million times. I don't have Unicorn yet, but all of these are really, really useful. So imagine this is a Unicorn, but if you don't, Ningirsu is still a good option, in my opinion, but like having those 3 nightmares, which are like the, in my opinion, okay nightmares. I mean, the most broken one, of course, is Goblin, but it's banned. Those are really, really good to have and really, really help in the extra deck overall. 1 copy of Trigate, because I can make it and have it also, like I said, co-linked with everything, because this deck can do that kind of easily. You have the ability to do this, and let's say Underclock Taker on Akashic Magician, and you have it negate, which is not bad. And also, if you can count this as a Unicorn, that's another option. 1 copy of Curious, the Lightsworn Dominion, I believe his name is. This one is what I like to be Summon Sorceress, but on the other hand, is not that bad either when she gets banned, because I'm pretty sure she's going to get banned sooner or later. It's not a bad option, because you can do all of his things before you go Zombie World, and you have 3 types for, like, you know, for different attributes, and you, not free types with the same attribute. My apologies. 3 different types with the same attribute. And he's really, really good. I think it's a very, very good card and just help you quite a bit. But like I said, if I have Summon Sorcerers, I probably would put it instead either this or Borlow Dragon. It's totally your choice. But I think like Dominion is also a really, really good option if you don't have your hands on Summon Sorceress yet, and or when she gets banned. And that pretty much does it for the extra deck and does it for the deck profile. So yeah, 60 card decks are not my thing. I'm sorry in advance if some people are really infuriated about this, because I don't know how to play the deck or something like that. But like, I'm going to say it out loud again, 60 decks are not my thing, and I'm trying my best here. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed regardless, and if you have any kind of comments to improve this deck, I will be more than happy to. I'm just really happy to do those kind of things, and I really enjoy this channel and how it grows, and we're getting really close to 600, which is amazing. So yeah, guys, keep up the good work, spread out the word, and I'll see you guys next time. Remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, guys. Stay safe. And get some sleep, and don't feel under the weather, because there are always people who like you. Bye-bye. I'm just saying that because I'm feeling a little bit bad. See you guys next time.